All right, welcome to the Fade Route NFL podcast. Um, the mayor and I are going to break down week one. We just had a Thursday night football game, a rematch of the AFC Championship game between Baltimore and Kansas City. Did you get to see that game?
I did. I woke up before I am yesterday, so there was a little nodding in and out in between a couple plays. Got to see the beginning, got to see the thrilling end. Video technology has definitely been a part of the game. About getting the right. The Kansas City. I didn't see him losing two home openers after winning two Super Bowls. Uh, they looked really good at parts of the game, and the Ravens defense looked really good last night during parts of the game. So game number one of 272 is done. We got 271 left.
Yeah, and I think the Ravens, just like in the AFC Championship game, I think they had several chances to kind of win that game, to take that game, and they just didn't do it. Obviously, you mentioned it kind of with the video replay of the toes just off of the white outside the end zone. So that would have tied the game. Actually, Harbaugh was saying go for two when he thought it was a touchdown. So that might have actually ended in regulation. But I know that you are aware of this. And we're going to get into this later. But I had Baltimore +3, so I was very sad to see that called out of bounds, and it was out of bounds. But anyway, let's get into week one. I'm going to skip the random fact. I just don't have anything unless you got a random fact.
Water is wet.
That's random. All right. All right. Let's talk about week one, the other games. Obviously, we had Kansas City winning over Baltimore last night. We got a game tonight in Brazil, the first one ever in Sao Paulo. This game will be, I think it, is it like, I maybe I should look this up, but I think it isn't going to be late. Is it starting at 6:30, like Brazil time or something like that? I think
Yeah,
Brazil's 2 hours ahead.
that's yeah. I think they've started these games to where they're prime time in normal U.S. locations. So yeah, it's like a 6:30 game because that'll put it on at 8 o'clock here in the East of the United States. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Players
All
get
right.
on that schedule and ready to roll.
So that game is Philadelphia is considered the home team there, and they are -3 against Green Bay. The over under is 49. Do you have any thoughts on this game?
It's going to be interesting to see if Jordan Love can, start right away, come out of the gates, and be that number one quarterback he needs them to be after the departure of one Aaron Rodgers. Philadelphia, Jalen Hurts. This team still has the skeleton crew of that Super Bowl championship from a few years ago. They're going to be good this year. Green Bay is probably going to be good this year. It's going to be a great game. I'm really excited to watch it. My question for you is, how many people when you go into the dark section of the internet and the comment section of threads, people get really upset that the games are not played in America. How many people do you think would know the game is being played in Brazil if they didn't say anything?
Well, I would hope that they're going to make it clear on the broadcast, like with some blimp shots or drone shots or whatever. You'll see some scenery from Brazil.
The way people get so upset when they're watching the game on TV, like, how dare you make me watch this game played in Brazil instead of Philadelphia, USA?
I actually can honestly say I have not seen that. I believe you that people would be kind of silly about that, but I have not actually seen that myself in any comments that I've been exposed to. So I don't know. I can't. I guess some people will just want to get mad about anything.
Yeah.
That's what I've learned. All right. Um, All right, so let's go ahead and talk about Sunday games. So the 1 o'clock games. Let's start with Buffalo. They're 6-point favorites in Buffalo against Arizona. The over/under is 48. Expecting, some pretty big points here. A spoiler: I am taking part of this game. I already sent you my picks, but do you have any thoughts on Arizona at Buffalo and Buffalo favored by 6?
It's Arizona's chance to get it started in the right direction. They're going to need to get as many wins as they can in the NFC West with those teams they're playing against. I think Buffalo is going to win, probably win this game big, give their fans a good show. I think they've got a new stadium on the way, so that's quite a few years out still. But Josh Allen's going to do more of the same at home in September. The weather's good, so not going to be a factor there. Uh, I think they're going to win big.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely could see tuning into this, and it's already 24-0 late in the first quarter or something. But I got a feeling about Arizona, so we'll see. New Orleans is at home versus Carolina. New Orleans favored by 4. The over/under in that one is just 41.5. Neither of us expects big things from either of these teams this year, but what do you think about this game? Any thoughts on New Orleans and Carolina?
That -4 already seems like a trap. It's like I saw it and I'm like, I can't take -4 New Orleans. That's too many questions for week one. That's too big of a point spread in my opinion. Carolina, Carolina's got a chance to win this game. I think it's going to be close. Probably come down to the fourth quarter, but I'll give the advantage to the home team.
Yeah, and I don't think very many people are going to be tuning into this one week one. We'll see if one of these teams surprises everybody, but I doubt it. All right, Houston is at Indianapolis, and Houston is favored by 2.5. The over/under is 48.5. This is our first home dog. We have 2 home dogs this week, and Indianapolis is a home dog here in this one. Do you have thoughts on Houston at Indianapolis?
Going to be good. C.J. Stroud, he's ready to come into year two. More and more NFL film getting on quarterbacks is changed their perspective a little bit. Houston has done a great job of building a team around C.J. Stroud. Indy's still got a few pieces left of what they used to be a reputable football team. I'm going to go with the away team on this one. I think Houston's going to go into Indy and get a week one win.
Yeah, I'm going to stay away from this one just because, you know, on the road week one, these teams are fairly even. I know Houston is a slightly better team, but it's in Indianapolis, and Anthony Richardson is back and healthy. So we'll see what happens there. But I'm staying away from that one. Miami -3 at home against Jacksonville. Over unders 49.5. We can probably expect Miami to put on a show here. Probably coming out with some crazy plays that we didn't even see last year. So do you have any thoughts on Miami against Jacksonville?
Yeah, the NFL did everybody a favor without having to have a Florida team come play in that heat down in
Yeah.
September. They've been avoiding Miami having home games early in the season because a few years ago, if you remember, it was the longest NFL game in history because weather delay after weather delay. I don't know what the weather's like in Miami, but I know it rains here every freaking day, so I'm sure Miami's a little bit of the same. The fans are going to be excited. Tua is going to put on a show. I would not be surprised if Miami didn't score 40 on their own.
So that 49.5 seems like pretty tasty. I'm not gonna bet it, but that seems pretty nice right there. All right. Minnesota is at the New York Giants. Minnesota favored by 1.5 on the road. The over under is 41.5. This is our other home dog. The Giants are home dogs here against a Minnesota team that not a lot of high expectations for. They drafted their rookie quarterback went down already. JJ McCarthy. Sam Darnold's going to start, I guess, for most of the season. We'll talk about him a little bit later, actually. But do you have thoughts on Minnesota at the Giants?
How do we already have 2 unwatchable NFL games in week one? Uh, Fans of Minnesota and fans of the Giants are excited. At the end of the game, there's one team that's going to be like, "Oh yeah, our team has no chance." I don't think there's probably any chance of the Giants making the playoffs. Minnesota's got an outside chance. I'll go with the home team. I know they're the underdog in this one, but I'll go with the home team just because.
Yeah, and I was looking at these schedules. These two teams, the one that loses could be the last winless team because they neither of them have very favorable schedules for the next several weeks. So this could be a loser leaves town. This team could be eliminated from the playoffs for a year. All right, Cincinnati is favored at home, 8.5. New England, a shell of its former self. The over/under in this one is just 40.5 points. And again, Cincinnati. That the last I saw they were favored by 8.5. You have any thoughts on the Bengals and the Patriots?
8.5 out of the gate. That's
That's a lot.
that's a big tell. That's a big tell for Vegas. If Cincinnati doesn't win this game, we are going to be having a not overreaction conversation about them next week.
Yeah.
Big overreactions always in week one, but everyone's pretty much already anointed them the winner. Uh, Joe Burrow and that offense is probably going to be able to put some things together and feel good, get some good film, get some good tape, and move into week two and look for their second victory.
I mean, is this one of those where the line's too big? It's week one, and but don't
Yeah, I'm
overthink
not
it.
going to
This is
touch 8.5, not at all, because I mean,
right.
Belichick could still be in the stands with a pair of binoculars sitting next to Jim Harbaugh. But you just don't know.
Yeah, but you don't know who he's working for either. He might not be working for the Patriots, if you know what I mean.
He's
Um,
working for he's about to be the head coach.
yeah, it's an interesting dynamic going on here. Okay, Atlanta is playing Pittsburgh. Atlanta's at home, favored by 3. The over under is 42. I don't think this Pittsburgh offense is going to put up a lot of points in general this year, and I think that Atlanta defense is going to be pretty good. So, you have any thoughts on Atlanta against Pittsburgh?
Not a big on the watch list for the weekend, but I will as I've got Sunday off, I'll probably games. Got the two TV setup going, so I'll be in a few games. I think Atlanta is going to have enough tools to get it done, and Pittsburgh. I'm going to have to see what form of 9-8 they're going to be this season. Going to be a mediocre team on offense, mediocre on defense, or just
All right, to round out Sunday 1 p.m. games, Chicago is favored by 4 against Tennessee. The over/under is 45. So Chicago's 4 point under or favorite, 4 point favorite. Tennessee, not a lot of expectations for them either this season. Chicago, a lot of expectations, but they're in a tough division. We've already talked about the Bears quite a bit. And everybody's talking about the Bears because of Caleb Williams and the possibility that they finally have a franchise quarterback of the future. Do you have any thoughts on Chicago and Tennessee?
their quarterback of the future. I mean, how many times are you going to put it down and pass it to somebody else? Uh, we'll see. Caleb Williams, you can't use anything he did. So those nerves are going to be there for him, for that team. I don't think Chicago is going to be a big experts, so-called experts. I guess we're experts. I'm not really sure. They're calling for Chicago to win the division, make a deep run. I don't see it, but Tennessee is, like you said, a shell of itself. So Chicago should get a week one victory, and Williams feeling pretty good.
All right, let's move to the Sunday 4 p.m. games. the 4 o'clock window. Seattle is favored by 5.5 at home against Denver. The over/under there is 42 points. So another kind of big line, but I'm not sure if we should overthink these lines in week one. Um, they do seem like tells from Vegas, which teams are good and which teams are not. But I don't know. Maybe you just take the big lines on these games because they're telling you something about this. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on Seattle and Denver?
I've actually got the NFL script right here, and it
Okay.
says
All
the
right.
first big upset of the season is Denver to beat Seattle in Seattle. The 12th man is going to show up but not work. Pete Carroll was the heartbeat of that team at 7. Go into Seattle and get a big week one victory.
Well, I'm not big on Seattle this year, so I wouldn't be shocked if they started slow and never really recovered. So I'm with you on that. The Chargers at home, favored by 3 against the Las Vegas Raiders. The over/under is 40.5. This is obviously Jim Harbaugh's first game as a head coach with the Chargers. And we've talked about him on this podcast. He kind of wins wherever he goes, even though it doesn't tend to last forever. He can come right in and turn a team around. So we'll see what he does with the Chargers. Do you have any thoughts on the Chargers and the Raiders?
The opposite team's fans rooting because it's just they overpower when the Chargers are playing. It seems to be the other team that's popular. So I'm not sure which fan is going to show up to this game. I don't think it matters. Las Vegas is not going to win this game. Jim Harbaugh has been, preparing this team for weeks now for this moment. He is ready to go. He is ready. He's going to have this team ready. Going to have a big week one victory, and we're going to see what I predicted, how the Chargers are the best teams in the NFL this year.
All right, I got them doing I think 12-5, something like that as well. I think they're going to be good. Cleveland is favored. This one actually, this line I think moved at least 4 points. Dallas was favored in this game at one point in Cleveland, but now Cleveland is favored by 2.5. The over/under is 41.5. Thoughts on the line movement or anything else about the Browns and the Cowboys?
I'm not too sure about the line movement. I found that kind of weird. Deshaun Watson is back, and the team had really good synergy without him playing at quarterback last season at the end after he got injured. Dak, his contract issue is not resolved, so Lord only knows. We'll see. I think Dallas will probably win this game. Not by much, by just enough, but I think they're going to get a week one victory.
All right. Two pretty good defenses, and we'll see how these offenses look. But I'm surprised at the line movement, especially since they got the deal done with CeeDee Lamb, and that was kind of the big thing hanging out there over the course of the offseason. So it seems like the line moved somewhat after that, which doesn't make any sense at all. Anyway, Tampa Bay is favored at home against Washington. They are 3-point favorites. The over/under is 43.5. This is Jaden Daniels' debut for the Washington Commanders, and I don't really want to watch this game, but we have, I think, maybe possibly another unwatchable game unless Jaden Daniels is actually really exciting.
Yeah, just for 4 o'clock game. Kicking off at 4 o'clock. It's going to be raining in Tampa at 4 o'clock on Sunday. I can promise you that. Probably a little bit of lightning. Fans are going to be ready. Those cannons are going to be sounding. Washington is not going to have in this football game, and the Tampa Bay fans be fair weather fans, and they will be talking that S all week long.
All right. So Sunday Night Football, a good one. Detroit, 3.5 point favorite against the Rams. The over/under is 51, so fireworks expected in this game. Um, I don't know if you heard this before, but the quarterback of the Rams used to be the quarterback for Detroit, and the quarterback for Detroit used to be the quarterback of the Rams. So, no, they play. This is a rematch of the playoff game last year, and the Detroit barely squeaked by I think by 1 point in the playoffs last year. So this should be a good game. You have any thoughts on the Lions and the Rams?
The teams traded game the following year doesn't make sense. I found, I think Detroit's going to win this game. They're going to be at home. Those fans are going to be ready. Dan Campbell is going this team. I think Detroit's going to be damn near a playoff matchup. So I saw a really funny video. We're going to go a little down the rabbit hole on this one.
That's okay.
Downs with the entire team during practice. And that is just a different culture that Dan Campbell has set in Detroit. Those players have his buy-in, and he is going to be the coach for a very long time in that thing as long as he can keep putting up W's. Even a 500 season, he's going to get a couple of breaks. But look for Detroit to win this game.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Detroit should win this game. The Rams lost Aaron Donald, and I think that they're going to try to, make up for it in other ways. But I think it's going to be a little bit of a struggle against this Detroit team that has so many weapons on offense. Monday Night Football game is your 49ers hosting the New Jersey Aaron Rodgers Jets. It's a over/under 43, so kind of a low-scoring game is expected here, I guess. Do you have any thoughts on the Niners and the Jets?
I didn't look to see. Is there 2 Monday Night Football games next week, or are they done with the 2 games on Monday Night overall?
I can look it
Either
up
way,
while
the New Jersey Jets coming all the way west for a football game. Aaron Rodgers got to play, 1 or 2 plays last season, and that awful injury that he ended up having. We'll see what happens. This 49ers defense isn't going to have any of that Jets offense. I think they're going to. I'm going into a vacation starting after tonight, so I'm going to be able to get all of this football game and then some. Look for San Francisco to get a Week 1 victory.
Yeah, that's I'm happy for you. You got Week 1 of the NFL season off on vacation, and you get to watch your 49ers at home against this Jets team. I don't expect the Jets to go into San Francisco and win this game, and I think I think it's going to be higher than 43, but I'm not using that for croutons. Speaking of croutons, though, I had 4 picks this week, and I lost my first one. I put 50 croutons on Baltimore +3. Isaiah Likely's toe on the white line at the back of the end zone. That's the difference in the game, and that's what happened. So
it could have been the 2 plays before that where Lamar missed a wide open receiver in the end zone.
Yes.
So, I mean, let's not put this only on Isaiah Likely. Likely it would have been a victory for them, that 2-point conversion. Kansas City didn't even look like they were ready for that. But that's football.
Well, we didn't talk about this, but did you have thoughts? So Steve Spagnuolo calls a timeout, which is not actually allowed. It has to be the head coach or player on the field. I guess I don't know how that exactly works, but Steve Spagnuolo, as a defensive coordinator, is not allowed to call a timeout, but he did, and they gave it to him, and it didn't ultimately matter, obviously, because the Chiefs won anyway. But what do you think about that? Do you have any thoughts on the officiating in general?
Yeah, I do. If you call a timeout with no timeouts, it's a delay of game penalty. So why is it
Mhm.
not a delay a game penalty if someone that's not allowed to call a timeout calls a timeout? Weird. Spagnola. He's the cheeseburger holder for Andy. So I don't know. I don't get it. So I think they should change that rule just slightly. Not that it happens very often, but that should have been a penalty on the Chiefs because they made an ill-advised move that they weren't supposed to do.
Yeah, and I can't believe that Steve Spagnuolo doesn't know that's a rule because he's been coaching for a long time, including 4 Super Bowls he's been in. So I don't know. That's
Well, he
strange.
was a terrible head coach.
He was. You're right about that. Um, all right, so maybe he's remembering he had a flashback as to being a terrible head coach. He's a very good defensive coordinator as far as we can tell, though. All right, so let's move on. My other crouton pick, and then I'll let you take or give us your first one. I think we might have this one, both of us. I got Miami -3 against Jacksonville for 50 croutons.
Looked, I used Heart Bet app for the lines. I looked a day or two ago, and it was at 3.5. So the line 5.5. I probably would have jumped on the Miami wagon on this one. But yeah, I like Miami -3 for sure.
All right, why don't you give us one of your picks?
Yes, pick is going to be the Los Angeles Croutons on that one. I'm going to start slow this year. Going to try to change my strategy up a bit. Start banging, starting hitting some of that big bets. Week 6, week.
All right, so I had
Times.
4 this. Sorry, I had 4 this week, and so I had Baltimore +3, and that missed. I have Miami -3 at home against Jacksonville, and then I'm taking Atlanta -3 at home against Pittsburgh. I think Atlanta, on paper, they should be 3 points or more better than this Pittsburgh team. So I got that for 50 croutons. What about you?
-3, both to win against the Raiders and the Jacksonville. Check.
Yeah, so your audio is cutting out, so I'm trying to plow forward here. All right, so my last pick for croutons is Arizona +6 at Buffalo for 50 croutons. I think Arizona. I suspect Buffalo's goes out to a big lead, but Arizona did a really good job last year, the end of the year, of just staying in the games and getting back themselves back into the games. So I think with Kyler Murray, anything can happen with him, and so he can keep this team in the game. They probably don't win this one, but I think they're closer than 6 points at the end of the game. So that's why I picked Arizona +6.
Cast. We usually, when the professor and I agree on a bet, it is gold. When we disagree, I'm usually right. I would not go +6 Arizona.
All right. So do you have other crouton bets, or did you finish all of them?
No, I just have 2 this week is all I had, so I'm good on my
Okay.
crouton bets.
All right. So for sink or swim, which to explain that, we get to pick one team each week, and that team is worth whatever week that the points that week is. So in week one, this pick will be worth 1 point. I have the Cincinnati Bengals taking the New England Patriots down. If they lose to the Patriots, I don't think I could trust them again this season. So figured I might as well take them here. What's your sink or swim pick this week?
That is a bold strat. So I'm gonna start saving my big teams for the end because you've beaten victory. I think they're gonna be able to get that done.
All right. So we talked about waiting on scratch and sniff. So just to explain um, for everybody out there, scratch and sniff is eliminating teams from the playoffs when we see an opportunity for them to be eliminated. We take them, and then it's the reverse of sink or swim because we get so. For example, if you took a team this week, you get 18 points for it. Um, I don't know if we decided we're not going to pick any teams this week, or if that was available to us to do. I don't know where we landed on that.
Yeah, I think we could do one of two things. Either I think picking more than 18 teams is kind of weird because there would be 14 playoff teams the way the format works out. So I think maybe you're free to pick it up to 18 teams whenever you want to. And if you want to pick all 18 by week 3, that's good for you. You'll probably win. Maybe not. Or maybe we should cap it at 1 week. I'm not really sure. I do have a week 1 pick. I don't know if you have one. If you don't have one, I'll wait. And I will definitely use this team next week because there's no way the team that I'm going to scratch from the playoffs is going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's
And if you
do.
were betting odds, if you were betting in Vegas on odds, it would probably minus 10,000 for the team not to make the playoffs. So I'm pretty comfortable with that pick.
Yeah, that sounds right. I think we should allow as many teams as you want to be eliminated up to 18. Once you've picked 18, then you cannot pick any more. To me, that's the most fun way to do it because what I'm afraid will happen if we pick one team each week, we might end up with a lot of the same teams, and then it could
Yeah,
be.
and then it'll end up being a tie. Yeah, I'm with you. As many as you
All
want
right.
to, up to 18 teams.
So I'm gonna take
Are we going to start
two.
this in week 2 then?
Yeah, we'll start this week.
Okay.
I'm gonna take two teams. So I'm gonna take Carolina as one of my teams. What's your team?
Yeah, Carolina is one of my teams as well. And then I would probably take 2 teams if we're changing up our format.
Sure.
The team I would take would be New England.
Yeah, I'm gonna take New England as well. So those are gonna. I mean, we're starting out. We're tied, but those are two teams that I'm very very confident aren't going to make the playoffs.
Yes. I think we both had one blunder last year, I believe, in sink or scratch or sniff. It's the thing we kind of put together at the last minute. We have all these little zany games we like to play just to keep it fun between the two of us, and for all of our listeners that we don't have yet. We're here, we're ready. We need sponsors so we can bring you a better formatted podcast than this terrible audio format that we're going through right now. You're out there, we're ready. Come find us.
All right. What about the NFL futures? Did you have those ready to go? You wanted to do 500 croutons.
I do have them ready to go, and I have 5. I broke it down to 5 different bets.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I had actually have them evenly, just 100 each.
Yeah, didn't mean to do it that way, but that's kind of how it happened. But I'm ready to go with my first one if you are.
Go ahead.
Okay, so for my first pick, I went deep into the well for the long shots of for long shots. I'm going to pick the Los Angeles Chargers to win the Super Bowl. They are at a 4,000 to 1 odds. Croutons would warrant me a $4,100 bet.
Wow, that's a bold one. But it it doesn't really pay to be timid on these. Although I think I picked things that are pretty likely to happen, even though they're plus odds. I don't have anything as big as that, the Chargers winning the Super Bowl. But I have my first one is Matt Stafford most passes in the NFC West. That is only plus 110, but I put 100 croutons on that one.
Wow, that's yeah, you didn't really go deep into the well on that one.
No.
My second one, I went a little deep into the well with the Super Bowl champion again, the Miami Dolphins. They are at a plus 1,500 right. So $100 bet would warrant me somewhere around $1,600.
All right, so I'm sensing a theme here for your picks.
That's okay. It's gonna get one. Don't worry.
Okay, my second pick is another one that is even odds, but I have Bo Nix over 18 and a half passing touchdowns for 100 croutons.
Oh, I'm gonna Aiden Hutchison defense. It's 1,000 to 1 or whatever, or pay $1,200 if.
All right, I like that one.
Do you have a third pick?
Yes, sorry. This is probably my boldest pick. Green Bay Packers to win the NFC North is plus 225.
That's a pretty good pick. I would be down with that, but no. For my next one, I wanted to go Christian McCaffrey, MVP of the league, but that's not going to happen. If there's any quarterback that throws 12 touchdowns this season, he's going to be named the MVP. So I went Christian McCaffrey, Offensive Player of the Year. A $100 bet will warrant me somewhere around $2,100.
Yeah, I've got one too for offensive player of the year. I have Tyreek Hill though. It's plus 650. So I'm putting 100 croutons on Tyreek Hill to be offensive player of the year.
Some good pick. For my last one, I really went down into the well and might be a little bit of foreshadowing for our total season prediction. I'm going to do Miami to play San Francisco in the Super Bowl. 100 crouton bet will warrant me somewhere around $4,000 again.
Nice. I didn't do anything that would win me that much money, but my last one is also even odds. This is Sam Darnold over 3,500 and a half passing yards.
3,500.
Yeah.
3,500 of those they need to throw in the half.
I know. I guess that's just how it is, though. But yeah, so he probably needs to throw about 2,000 of them to Justin Jefferson. But I think he's probably gonna be able to make it to that if he's healthy for the entire season. I think that's a pretty easy one there.
Yeah. Did you do Coach of the Year and Offensive Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie? You get all those loaded up?
I do not, but we can do that next week if you want.
Okay. Yeah.
right, let's talk about the season predictions. Who's going to make the playoffs and what's going to happen? If you don't mind, we can do this in about 3 to 5 minutes.
Yes.
All right, so I'm going to start with my AFC
Are
predictions.
we under the gun, or are we just you want
Oh
to fire
no,
through it quickly?
no, I just know that you said you wanted to be done by about 11, so we're trying to make that happen.
Oh yeah, we're good. We're good on time. Don't worry about that.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna start with my AFC predictions. I actually have the New York Jets winning the AFC, getting the 1 seed.
Well, I need to break this down as you're saying it, because that's what's their record sitting at?
13-4.
Wow. But not winning in week one.
No.
Wow.
All right, and then I have KC as the 2 seed at 13-4, so the Jets getting the tiebreaker there. Baltimore the 3 seed, Houston the 4 seed, Cincinnati the 5 seed, Miami 6 seed, and the Chargers the 7 seed.
Are you gonna do your NFC, or you want me to fire off my AFC?
No, give me your AFC.
So yeah, I about a week ago when we did our NFC AFC, I guess that was yesterday, predictions.
Mm-hmm.
I picked the Chargers to go 13-4 and win the conference. I think their schedule is going to help them get to that score. Miami at top 7. KZ is going to be on the road in the playoffs. They just won last night, so they're going to be that against those Chargers.
All right, wait a minute. Your audio cut out. So I got the first two. I got the Chargers in Miami. You have KC as the
No, Baltimore, Indy, KC,
All right. Let's jump to the NFC then. I'll start with my picks for the NFC. I've got San Francisco winning the conference at 14-3. I've got Green Bay in the 2 spot there at 11-6. I've got Atlanta winning the South and going 11-6. I have Dallas winning the East at 10-7 for the 4 seed. And then I've got the Rams as the first I'm sorry, the 5th seed, the first wild card team, and that would be at 12-5. And then Detroit at 10-7. I have also a wild card team at the 6th spot, and then I have Philadelphia as the last playoff team at 9-8, and they would be the 7th seed.
Wow, yeah, you're than I am on this one. I picked San Francisco in the 3 seed. Tampa Bay winning that division at 8-9. The Los Angeles Rams, Green Bay, and then Atlanta getting that last wild card spot. I've got 4 teams in the NFC, not even getting to 10 victories, but someone's got to make the playoffs, so it might as well be those 4 teams. The NFC or AFC, I've got 6 of the 7 teams winning at least 11 football games this year. I don't know how it happened, but it looks like the AFC, in my opinion, is going to be far superior conference this year.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got a bunch of teams that are 12 or 13 wins as well in the AFC. Okay, so let's get into it. That means that the bye teams for me in week 1 of the playoffs would be the Jets and the Niners. The wild card games would be KC at home against the Chargers, Baltimore at home against Miami, and Houston at home against Cincinnati. I see KC, Baltimore, and Cincinnati advancing to the next round.
Yeah, I've got Miami playing Buffalo, Baltimore, and Indy playing. Dancing, and with the Chargers being, it would shape Baltimore Chargers.
Okay. So I've got KC, Baltimore, and Cincinnati advancing in the AFC and the NFC. I see Green Bay hosting Philadelphia and winning that one. I see Detroit upsetting Atlanta in Atlanta, and I see the Rams beating the Cowboys, of course. And so I have Green Bay, Detroit, and the Rams moving on to the divisional round.
Beating Green Bay, but Green Bay losing to the Rams and leaving Detroit, Philadelphia, the Rams, and San Francisco.
Okay. So moving on to the divisional round, that would have Cincinnati going to New Jersey to play the Jets and coming away with the victory. So Cincinnati winning over the Jets, and then KC winning at home again against Baltimore. We saw it last year. We saw it last night, and I think KC will win against Baltimore once again.
Yeah, I see Miami and Baltimore showing down in Miami, and I think Miami is going to be too much for them to handle. And I see KC having to travel to Los Angeles Chargers, and I see the Chargers getting away with that victory and making the AFC Championship game.
All right, so I've got Cincinnati, Kansas City. You've got Miami, Los Angeles Chargers. All right, so on the NFC side, I have Detroit upsetting San Francisco in San Francisco, and I have Green Bay winning at home against the Rams. So I have Detroit and Green Bay in the National Conference Championship.
Wow, that'll be a big excitement for the old black and blue division. I think
Yep.
the team had two in the conference game. It was when Brett Favre was a for kids out there. Brett Favre was at one time one of the best quarterbacks in the league, but his stats are nothing compared to these day and age quarterbacks. Good for you. Good prediction. Don't bet on that. I do see Detroit playing Philadelphia and Detroit on to the NFC Championship game, and the Rams falling to San Francisco, and San Francisco playing Detroit in the NFC Championship.
All right, so I have Kansas City defeating the Bengals and Green Bay defeating Detroit, and I've got Kansas City and Green Bay in the Super Bowl.
You know, that has been like every Sports Illustrated prediction for the past 30 years. And the City versus Green Bay. I'm glad to see you picking one of your homers on this one, and then one of the popular teams or one of the best teams in the league. Great, and Miami is going to beat the Chargers. The luck, and it'll be a very tense 2 weeks in the Hoffman household when San Francisco is awaiting to play Miami.
All right. My prediction is that Kansas City defeats Green Bay in the Super Bowl 31-21.
31-21. Let me write that down. KC 31. And
Green Bay
who'd you
21.
say would be Green Bay 21?
Yep.
Wow, that is a bet about 50 croutons on that in real time money in a Hard Rock. That'd be a very big payout for you if it were to come true. Even $10 would turn it into a short trip to the grocery store. At least be able to afford some groceries for your family. I'm picking San Francisco over Miami. Shocker. It happened again. This time it's actually going to happen. I will say 37-24.
All right, 37-24. You heard it here first. Bet the over because that's probably going to go over. Um, all right, I think that's pretty much it. That's all I've got.
Yeah,
What do you have?
I've got a daily lineup, but it's a darts throw at this point. You never know what's going to happen in week one. Yahoo still has that awesome lineup where you set a lineup every week. I usually have some fun with that. Never had any success, but I'm playing against 27 million people, so
Mm,
we'll.
all right. Well, let's hear your lineup.
Okay, so for this one, there is a common theme, and it is the Miami Dolphins and a little more offense. I got Tua Tagovailoa, Raheem Mostert, J.K. Dobbins, Jalen Waddle, Justin Jefferson, Lad McConkey, Jake Ferguson, Rome Odunze, and the uh, Denver Broncos.
All right. I mean, I think it's a good idea to stack up some Dolphins. I think they're likely to have a big week one.
Yeah, that's what I'm banking on for this particular lineup. And I've got a couple Chargers stacked in there as well. Lad McConkey,
Mhm.
I think he'd take this league by storm, at least in week one, I hope.
All right, then I think that's it. We will figure out a way to do this show. I don't know whether it's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be this format. We're going to probably work on something else. But for the mayor myself, thank you for watching and listening to the Fade Route NFL podcast, and we will talk to you very soon.